makes it a different beast um, when you have to do VR remotely. Um, yeah, it's how do you handle it when you don't have the device? I think Kyle, you were in. Oh, Kyle is not right now. Kyle was in the only student I had in that VR game development class, and so he was kind of a guinea pig. I don't think that was really a success without actual equipment. So I haven't offered it since for that reason. Okay, serialization and deserialization. When communicating with remote applications, you will often exchange data with other applications. Serialization and deserialization of data is done before the exchange of data when it's received or sent. In this chapter, you understand the following topics. Um, the XML. Talked about that a little bit before. Just, yeah, I thought I had it up. Maybe I don't. Let me bring up. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. This is one popular technique for exchanging data. Way back when, everybody had their own format, um, and it was usually binary, which isn't a very good way to transmit the data because it can easily get corrupted. And one big player in the market came out called EDI, Electronic Data Interchange. They came up with their own format. Problem was, this is back in the dark ages. This is when I first started programming. When you order something, you filled out a catalog order form, send in the paper. They received it on their end. If they had a computer system, they typed in the computer system, and then they might hand type the packing slip to send back with your order or whatever. For vendors, going back and forth between each other, similar ways of doing it. They'd type up a manual order, they'd send it. Person on receiving end might put it into a database if they had a database system, but then they'd type all the sales orders, the purchase orders, the everything that went back and forth. That's one of the first projects I worked on at Coke. Was I wrote a COBOL programs to automate printing all those, printing sales order acknowledgments, packing slips, sales, purchase orders, all of that, and they loved it. They said, "This is great. We don't have anything to do. It does it all for us." You can probably guess where that was headed. Short time later, they got rid of two people that were doing all the typing of purchase orders. I felt bad about that because my mother was typing purchase orders at that time. I thought, well, that's great. I just put two ladies like my mother out of business or out of a job. But yeah, it keeps evolving. And then everybody had their own format, so then they thought this is stupid. We need to come up with a standard. And EDI was the standard for a period of time for certain branches, and then it keeps progressing. And XML is how a lot of data is exchanged now. And I think I showed this. I'm not sure if I showed it in this class, but Word documents, Excel documents, those are just zip files containing a bunch of XML files. So again, exchange of information. Now this one, I don't think. They display it. Just trying to find one where I could change it. Maybe I don't allow it. But XML is such that you have a beginning tag, you have a closing tag, beginning tag, closing tag, and so forth. See, they got a typo there. They're trying to point out beginning tag, closing tag, and then you have information in between. So that's XML. Now here is a call, and you've worked quite a bit with JSON, right, Michael? What's JSON P? Because I was reading in their documentation, they refer to this somewhere as JSON P, unless I just read it wrong. I don't even remember where I was reading it now. But anyway, it's a way of exchanging information. So this right here, you can call this, and it returns this information. So it's a way of exchanging. Instead of giving you access, and we're going to talk about databases here shortly, but instead of giving you access to a database, they'll give you kind of an interface like this, where you can call it in, pass in a parameter, and then it returns this, which then you want to parse this apart. On their end, they're putting it into the JSON P format, or JSON. Let's see. There, I should have Googled it. It is JSON P. JSON with padding. Loading a script. Okay. And again, if you want to learn about these in detail, you go to W3 Schools. That's the best place to really learn about that. And they'll go on about what JSON P, how to work with it, and so forth. Problem with giving somebody access to a database is it can be hacked into. If you provide them this kind of interface, there's really no hacking into it. All you do is just pass in a number to this, and then it's handled on the server side on their end. Now you can change this. I don't know if I can find another one to show it to you. Let's see, Rossi, elementary, statistics, Amazon. I forget which one I looked up. Hopefully they have this one. So if I copy this ISBN number, put it here. Now it's very picky. This one has to have the dashes in exactly the right place. One, two, three, four, five. Dash. Okay. Not found. wish I knew which one I looked up. If this one isn't in there, then I'll forget it. Okay, 978, 1 digit, 3 digits. 5 digits and 1 digit. There are some in there. Not as many as you'd think. I'm looking into this for the Union Rescue Commission in Wichita. They want to have a storefront for their bookstore, and some of these places I've looked at, they communicate with the JSON format, and you pass in parameters like this and it returns it, along with the appropriate key. Because not everybody can do it. They're not free services. There's one for $20 a month that provides this. Okay. Anyway, seeing the format of it. Now, it doesn't come in really nice like this, and that's what that chapter covers, is how to parse that apart. How can you get this and easily retrieve the information? I'm not going to go through all this because there's some really cool stuff I want to get to in this. Here's where it talks about the XML. Being able to parse apart your XML file is important. Being able to put it in the XML format easily is important. I could write C# code that would create XML, but again, there's easier ways. Okay. By the way, here's what what their example looks like. Then you can have your own customization. Some of these you hear about a lot. Some you don't hear about as much. XML's big, JSON's big. This I heard about for a while. YAML. It's language designed to be human readable. Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, see, these I haven't heard about. I never heard of Rebol. YAML I've heard way back when. Gellish for data exchange. I was really hoping to see if I could find how many different formats there are. Again, binary formats can easily get corrupted, and they're not really preferred. Let's see, is BSON? Based on the term JSON, stands for binary JSON, is a binary form of that. So don't think you need to go out and learn each one of these. That's why the book just presents a couple of the more popular ones, and then talk at the end about some generic. Okay, chapter 12, consuming data. Work with data is an important part of developing an application. Normal application stores data in memory, but when this application ends, it is lost. This chapter, you'll learn about working with a database, consuming XML and JSON data, working with a web service. And this goes through and talks about, and they have different technologies. This talks about ADO.net, if I'm saying that right. Set of object-oriented libraries used to interact with the database, enables you to connect to the database, perform different database-oriented operations on it, such as create, read, update, and delete. CRUD operation. Anyway, ADO.net is a set of classes that expose data access services for .NET framework programmers. And if I create a new project here, and click create. Over here, you have a Server Explorer tab, and if you don't have it, then if you do a view, you can see Server Explorer here. And if I expand that, you can see what's available there. Data connections. Will you have the same ones as me? Probably not. Well, definitely on a David Hayes laptop. But if you're connected, then you'll see different items here. For data connections, if you right-click on it, you see there's a Add Connection. And like I say, there's multiple ways of doing this. Here you can choose your data source and choose any of these options. And this is the .NET framework data provider for object linking and embedding, OLE, if I'm saying that right, DB. A lot of what you'll see in these books is that they'll show you a graphical way to do this. And then this book really focuses on the coding part. You notice there's also, and I'm not sure if everybody will have this. This is, again, a way of connecting data, and that's about as far as I got on it. I went out and created an account. I didn't use it, so I think it's expired now. But you see out here is SQL databases. Like I say, I don't think it'll even connect because of that. I need to go out and play with it again. This seems to be a wave of the future, and that's why I went out to learn a little bit about it. But I wasn't even sure where to start learning. My knowledge is almost zero on that. But it's way, as I understand it, of creating cloud-based applications. Does that kind of really generally sum it up, Michael? Okay. Of course, there's lots of different pieces to that. You can also, and this didn't used to work on 2017, or what didn't work on how I had these set up, but you see there's a create new SQL Server database here. And how did I do that yesterday? Let's see if there's any options. Well, when you click refresh, it goes out there and looks what's available. I didn't find that. Maybe I didn't do it that way. Maybe I did it over here. Yeah, this is where I did a bit. Choose Microsoft SQL Server here. This creates a local one. Um, server name. This instead of guessing. I was very pleased that it actually worked. Not that one. Must be chapter 11. Let's see. Server. Okay. Add new item. Wasn't even close. Okay, so went to the project. Add new item. And click service. Installed node. Ah, it's different for C#. Oh no, there it is. Installed. Just blind. Expand the common items. Don't see any common items. Interesting. Okay, maybe it's just visual. Did I click right? Oh, right click on the wrong thing, didn't I? Okay. Hmm. No, it's project I clicked on. Ah, that's weird. Maybe it isn't on C#. Um, that's strange. But anyway, you can come here, and I created this link to the spreadsheet. Assuming I still have it under my temp folder. I created for testing last time I taught C#. Slow. ODBC is a method where you can talk directly to a spreadsheet. So you can pull data from it and so forth. They don't have to export it in CSV format. They don't export it in any kind of format. You can pull your information directly. And I'm guessing the file's not out there. The why it's not coming back and telling me that, I don't know. You see over here is a connection string. There's a web page that has connection strings. How-to guides, connections. string. Connection string. Okay. I won't be able to find it now. I'm looking for it. But there's connection strings for different types of data, so you don't have to sit there and wonder what format should it be in. There's actually a data website that was had it. There it is. It's been pretty obvious. Connectionstrings.com. Um, you see all the different formats they have here. And if you want to connect to an AS400, they'll tell you what format things should be in and so forth. This way, you don't have to sit there and guess. You don't have to search through the documentation. Then you can choose it appropriately. Does it come back? Didn't come back. Let's hunt it up. I never would have thought that would kill Visual Studio. There it is. In task. Oh, really? Okay, create a new project. I'll leave it there. Close some of this. But anyway, that's what it's talking about with how to connect to different databases and so forth. Got different data providers, Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle. Oracle is interesting enough. Was one of them that brought up to my computer. I didn't even try it yesterday. I do got, I had Oracle installed locally. But MySQL databases. Part of that is establishing a connection. You see they got data set here. You tell it if you're connected to a SQL server, for example, you can choose that data source and then a server name. That was a refresh I was hitting. Sometimes you have like a local one installed. Used to be that the way they taught the introduction to SQL class is they had people install Microsoft SQL Server locally, and not a bad thing, but it seemed to have a lot of problems. Though I'm finding Oracle has a lot of problems, so I'm not sure if there is any good solution there. This walks you through screenshots of it. Remember the connection string I was talking about? So if you run across this and you're wondering what in the world they're talking about, you have to find your appropriate connection string. And you see here they have a command. What I couldn't remember this morning is, have I showed you guys SQL at all? What'd say? Okay, then I need to show that before. We're going to spend a little bit of time working on databases. I like databases. 75 to 80% of what you do in programming is based upon databases. There's very few. I'm not even sure if I can name one application I wrote where I didn't write to a database. W3 Schools is the best place to learn about that. If I can go to the correct one. Schools. Somehow there's a site, and I'm not sure if it's malware on it or not, but if you leave off the S or C or S here or something, it goes to a site that it's obviously trying to do something. So I don't even try to type it directly anymore. SQL. SQL is a way of talking to a database. Over here, databases are has a series of tables. You can think of this as like a spreadsheet where you're keeping track of all your customers in one page. This is stored in a logical manner, though, unlike a spreadsheet where you can do queries against it and easily do queries against it. This shows you the customers table. We have customer ID, customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code, country. If I want to select everything from this, the standard SQL is you do a select star from customers. The star, the asterisk there is a wildcard. It brings back all columns. If you just want to bring back certain columns, then you can type those separated by commas. So customer name, comma, city. And that'll bring back just those. You can do a where on this, where you can limit it down, where city is equal to Berlin. And it only brings back the individuals that are from Berlin. Let's see. You can order by city. That'll sort it by city. And so you can see it that way. Some of this is built in with Visual Studio, where you don't have to actually do those yourself. When you drop a your toolbox here, you drop your text box on here and all those items. Down there at the bottom, somewhere, there it is. We have this data option, and you might need to expand it. And there's different options you can set here. Binding Navigator, if you drag and drop that on there. This allows you to do much of what SQL does. You can go from record to record. The plus is insert. The X is delete. So over here, for example, if I want to insert into this table, maybe I ought to create a new table. Create table, see if I remember the syntax. David's table. Name varchar 50. Okay, and then I want to insert into David's table. And name, values, David Hayes. And so we got that there. When I did the insert, when I put a new record into my table, that's what this this plus does. The X, that issues this command. Delete from David's table where name equals David Hayes. And now there's no records in there. So part of that's built in with this. Now you have to, these other items, and we're going to see this, these other items allow you to connect it to a database or to a spreadsheet, assuming that spreadsheet existed. And so you could use this to go through the records in a table in a database, to update them and so forth. Now a lot of these, maybe all of them, or no chart, I bet doesn't. If I drag and drop that on here, drag and drop that on here. Sorry, I had a navigator. Never mind. Binding source, data. Oops, not that one. Data set. Yeah, when you drop these on, just like when we did the open file dialog, assuming we did that in this class, and I'm not confusing with Visual Basic. It drops it down here, and you set your parameters over here in your properties. So, okay. Now the select is really just what I wanted to introduce you to at first here, because I want to create. And we'll come back to the database. We're definitely not done with it. But there's an item in this chapter. Let's see. Lots of different items. Definitely don't have time to cover all of it. This is what you're talking about the other day at Newtonsoft. Oh, okay. Well, they have a link to the Newtonsoft in the book. So, but I'm going to show ASP. Yeah. Again, all these are ways for you to exchange information, to store information out in the web. So this is just kind of like the beginning of really doing things more with remote applications and so forth. And I'm going to assign and hopefully this works out well. I had really good luck with it last spring, so we'll see. But I'm going to assign you to create an ASP.NET application. And so let me close this. And create a new project. And you'll see if you change your language to C# and you start looking through, there's an ASP.NET web application, .NET framework. And so I'll click that one. And it'd be in this list if you browse through it. Click Next. Web application 4, click Create. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and choose a web form, so everything's already kind of set up for me. I click Create. I suppose single page application might work too. But this is a little bit older technology. They're taking a different path to their web development. This has some issues if it's not secured correctly, which is maybe why they're going away from it. I don't know. Over here, you see a lot of different files. So it creates a bunch. Specifically, the one I'm going to look at is one called default.aspx. Now it comes up here, and you don't need to really worry about a lot of this here at first. If you're going to work at a job where you're going to program in this, then you definitely would need to. You see it says ASP.NET is a free web framework for building great websites and web applications using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Even more than that. ASP.NET Web Forms lets you build dynamic websites using a familiar drag-and-drop event-driven model. Design surface and hundreds of controls and components let you rapidly build sophisticated, powerful UI-driven sites and so forth. Okay, I'll click the design here. That's this design tab in the lower left-hand corner. Pops this up, and this is all the different things that come up with it by default. So that's what it looks like. Source here is where you can come and edit this. So if I want to get rid of some of it, I come over here. And I'll get rid of that. Now if I go back to design, see it's a lot cleaner. Or you can just edit these. So if you want to use an existing one, you can. You can hand type it here. So you can start typing your HTML and so forth directly. You see, it just put here there. But even better than that, what I want you to use is if you click your toolbox here, and where's Zoom at? Where the zoom is for this. So I was trying to do my control and like I usually do, and I didn't make it bigger. But I'll ignore that. You'll see maybe some options here that don't look familiar. Some that do look familiar. We have a text box somewhere. There it is. I can drag and drop that on here. Make it bigger if you want. You can also change the different items over here. Sure, height, bold, so forth. Now I can put another text box on here. Make that a little bit bigger. Drop a button on here. I hate these 4K displays. Some things just makes real small, and then other things are normal size. Okay, so we're not going to do anything too exciting. We're just going to add two numbers together and then put the result here. So let me delete these now. We'll go back to source. And okay, so I put the here there so I could clearly see where my code was. Reason why I undid it is because this was so small. I wanted to be able to see where I had to drop it. If it smacked it down because you didn't have any content, then it would be more challenging. Now notice this one's called text box 1. I could call this tb_num1. This one tb_num2, and this one will be our tb_answer. For this one, I'm going to change the text to say add. Now notice smaller, larger, XX small, X small, extra large. Different concept. When you're developing for the web, it's not where you want to necessarily hard code it to be this big. Reason why is large here. Large on a smartphone is different than large on a tablet, which is different than large on a monitor. So that's why you don't put like 14 or 15 for our font. We do it that way. Now this is exactly like the other one. If you double click the add, it takes you into C# code. And let's see, num1, num2, the sum, num1 is equal to int32 dot int32.parse tb_num1.text. Num2 is equal to int32.parse tb_num2.text. The sum is equal to num1 plus num2. And I want to write that out. So tb_answer.text equals to the sum dot to string. Now I'm in default.aspx.cs. Back here, If I look at my source, you may have noticed font size equals large. That's what you could type in directly. Um, let's see if there's anything else. Notice here, code behind, default.aspx.cs. And so when you click the button, unlike JavaScript, it runs it, well, JavaScript, you can run the server also, but it runs it at the server. Okay. Sees on click, button one click. So there's the connection between that and button one click. Now if I run this, I always find the debugging kind of challenging on these. Just doesn't work the same way. You're running a little mini web server, I guess you could think of it, on your computer. There it comes up. And so that's what this is. It's actually running a web page. It has all the code behind it and so forth. 3, 4, and click the add, and it gives me 7. Now this, I could publish this to a web hosting site, and then I could have this application out here that add two numbers together for people. Not very exciting, I know. I did this just as a kind of a proof of concept. You do have to have the appropriate configuration on the server in order to run an ASP program. I did this through Network Solutions, and the I put it out there, and just left it out there. Didn't think much about it and so forth. And I was actually hacked into on my site, and Network Solutions was claiming it was something I was doing. And the only thing that I was doing that potentially was a security hole is this right here. So it does have some issues there. I'm assuming that they've cleaned that up with the how do you say that? Is it Azure? Azure. Okay. Azure. Develop if I'm saying that right. I'm assuming they've cleaned that up where you don't have the same security issues, which is probably why they're, as you had mentioned, Michael, they're going away from ASP. And it could be because of the security problems, one of the reasons. Also, it's kind of cumbersome in terms of the management and so forth. It was challenging to get that set up on my website. I don't. Anyway, after I was hacked into, I removed it, so I no longer have that on there. But this shows you that this is one of the things you can do with C#. There's a ton of things you can do with C#. If I do a file, let's close, create a new project, change your language to C# here. You'll see a lot of different ones we'll never touch in this class. Even interestingly enough, you got iOS application development. Now you do have to have, as I understand with this, a connection to a remote server of some sort, that it won't run the actual program on your computer. Of course, that was 2017. I don't think I ever tried it 2019. But these are all things that you can program with C#. Some of these might be server programs that run in the background. And I've never even heard of Storm Document DB, but I guess I wouldn't because that's a new formatting. Anyway, I'm out of time. The project I want you to work on for next time is I want you to create an ASP application and make it a unless you got something more exciting, make it a physics based one where you choose again a physics formula and you put that into a website like that, and again zip it up and then turn that in. But we'll go ahead and stop there. We're not done with that chapter yet on databases. We're going to come back to that next time. I'm going to have a access database ready. I didn't have one ready today, which is why I didn't show it. And we'll see how to connect that. Have a good afternoon, and I'll see you next time.